Roger, you've just arrived back to Australia from spending some time in Gaza at the beginning of the month. What are Palestinians experiencing there at the moment?
Look, Gaza is nothing less than a hellscape at the current time. I lived and worked in Gaza over many years, and most of what I drove through was unrecognisable. Most of Gaza that I knew and remembered has been completely obliterated. I think most horrific, though, is just the impact on the population, which has been completely displaced. 90% of the population are basically homeless, living in makeshift shelters in the most extreme conditions, and food is absolute scarce at the moment. We are struggling to get food into Gaza. And children in particular are suffering. I saw children going through garbage trying to find food, the elderly desperately trying to access food at various shelters and at food distribution centres. It really was dystopian.
The International Criminal Court is accusing Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes. They've issued arrest warrants for him. Today, he submitted an intention to appeal. Is what we're seeing unfold in northern Gaza further evidence of war crimes?
Yeah, I haven't seen, and it's still a closed case in terms of the charges against the leader of Israel. We understand that it relates to the withholding of aid, and what I can speak to is that aid is absolutely being withheld into Gaza. There are siege-like conditions in the north of Gaza at the moment. And we believe that up to 70% of the people who are under that siege are women and children. And there is likely famine occurring in that area. But we are seeing throughout Gaza basically the withholding of aid. So we have half the population, more than half the population, suffering catastrophic hunger at the current time. Yet we have food. We have the equivalent of around 3,500 trucks sitting outside of Gaza that we can't get in. That's food that's stuck in a port in Israel. It's food that's stuck in the Sinai Desert in Egypt. It's food that we can't get through our offices in Jordan. So that's 7 months of food. We could feed the entire population, but we can't get the food in.
And this is even before the ban on UNRWA is enforced. Last month, Israel voted to ban UNRWA from operating in Gaza and the West Bank, and also classified it as a terror organisation. The ban comes into effect on January 28. If this is what's happening now, what will be the impact of the ban?
UNRWA basically is the backbone of the aid operation. It provides the logistics to move aid through Gaza. We have health services that currently account for around half the population. 60% of the population receive healthcare from UNRWA because there's no one else. Social work services, the distribution of food, the aid operation will collapse. And what's even more depressing is that UNRWA also has been the main provider of education services. So we have 650,000 children who have been out of school. This is now their second year out of school. And what we would see with this ban, if fully enforced, would basically mean that UNRWA would no longer be able to provide educational services. So not only does it impact the here and now in terms of people's ability to get food and water, medical supplies, but it's basically an attack on the future, particularly for children.
Roger, a ceasefire is holding between Israel and Hezbollah over Lebanon. What needs to happen for Gaza? What role can Australia play?
Australia has not only a long-standing relationship with UNRWA that goes back to the 1950s, it also has a very strong relationship with the State of Israel. And I think that Australia could be a very important interlocutor at this period to basically start helping the two parties reach to an agreement that could see UNRWA maintain its services. And look, we don't want to last forever. What we want to see ultimately is the establishment of a political process that would actually see a permanent end to this ongoing conflict. But we really, and I think the Secretary-General and the Australian government would see UNRWA's role during this transitional period, for however long it goes, as absolutely vital.